GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered.
And that's MVS and Justin Watson.
With some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues.
If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up.
Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow,
Comma, semicolon, period, next sentence.
to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
And Jay.
in the morning.
My God.
How good is he?
Dude.
It is GMGP. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and my dog, my co-host, my brother from another mother. Y'all know who it is. Mr. Ashton Genty ain't that good himself. The double down king, JRich. You can find him on Blue Sky, not even X, Blue Sky, at your boy JRich. We waking up, we talking college football playoffs, NFL draft, the NFL season, Josh Allen, and just how damn good JRich is LA Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua. And I'm just gonna say, Jay, if he had some tattoos and some dreads and his name was Laquan, he'd be Dynasty wide receiver 1. I'm telling you right now, he's that damn good. Who we got in the building this morning? Who we got? What family in the building? 122 strong. Gang, what's going on, Marcus? My dog, Marcus. Hey, hell of a year. Year 1 in the SEC, my UT brother. Well, I didn't go to UT, but that's my brother right there. But he went to UT. Hell of a season. Marcus, I need to know. The chat needs to know because we want to talk about it. What are they doing at QB next year? I know you got the insider information. Tell everybody.
Yes.
Hey, Marcus, thousands of people are going to watch. Is it Quinn? Is it Arch next year? Let us know, man. And hell of a season for Texas, even though y'all went down versus Georgia. What's going down, Cold World? HK Survivor, 1993 in the damn building. What's going on, GOAT? 7 GOAT rings. New name. Change the name. What's up, 7 GOAT rings? How you doing, baby? Jamal, Garrison, MV Prof, Rico, Patrick, Weeze in the building. Carson, good morning, people. Need 32 from Chase Brown tonight for first place. 32, that's a lot of points,
Big boy
Jay.
numbers.
It's a lot of damn points, but anything is possible. Anything is possible. We got a lot of people in the building. We got a lot of stuff we got to cover today. Jay, let's get you on the screen, man. How you been, man? How was your weekend, baby?
It was good. It was a great weekend. I thought football was great. You know, I watched a couple of the conference championship games. They were very exciting. Football on 1 o'clock was questionable, but Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford definitely made up for it. And then we had a pretty exciting Sunday night game as well. Once again, came down to the wire. Chiefs pull it out. Even gave us a little bit of a doink to make us sweat it out just a little bit.
Why can't
But
KC just win? Why can't they just win regular?
Makes
Why can't
no
they
sense,
just win
man.
the damn game? And let me ask you this real quick. I'll be on
All right.
Bleacher Report tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time. I do the power ranking stream nationally for them this season. Are we disrespecting Minnesota? Every week we do the power rankings, and it's like Buffalo, Philly, Kansas City, Detroit. I don't know about the Vikings. They're 11-2. 11-2. And I know that this version of Sam Darnold, we've never seen this before. In the 10 years he's been in the NFL, we've never seen it. But are we disrespecting Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, and the Minnesota Vikings too damn much, Jay? Should they not be? If they play Philly right now, who you think wins? Philly, Minnesota?
Philly, like pretty easily.
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I don't think so.
I think here's the problem, right?
Go ahead.
And this show, we do not disrespect Kevin O'Connell. We don't disrespect the wide receiver core. We don't disrespect the defense. But I think we all kind of admit that Sam Darnold we're unsure if he can win the big game when it counts. And that's the problem.
It's 14 games, I'm sure. I'm sure that right now, this version of Sam Darnold is damn good with Kevin O'Connell, man. Well, We'll talk about it
he's
later.
Kevin O'Connell's great. I mean, you look at what happened yesterday. Sam Darnold was great. O'Connell called great plays for them. But the Falcons' defense really isn't very good. Like, let's be honest. It was supposed to be better. They tried to make some big signings. They still don't have a pass rush.
Ooh.
And Kirk Cousins has failed them time and time again. So, I mean, we'll talk about Kirk a lot, I'm sure, on this show. But it's just, how do you believe that Darnold can win the big game over a quarterback like a Hurts, like an Allen, like a Mahomes? Now, to be fair, a lot of these guys are in the AFC, but even against a Purdy, right? Like, I think that while Minnesota has had their number recently, are you going to bet on him over like a Goff, over a Jordan Love, for instance, even in the division? I think that's when you start to wonder.
But you're not betting.
You're not betting on both.
You're not betting on Darnold. You're betting on the Minnesota Vikings. This isn't tennis.
Yes.
This isn't golf. This isn't bowling. This isn't darts. This is football. I'm betting on the team of the Minnesota Vikings, which includes Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, Jordan Addison, I'm betting on the team, not Sam Darnold.
I hear what you're saying, but in a lot of ways, when teams are similar in caliber, you are then looking to the quarterbacks, and you're not here and going to tell me that you believe the Detroit Lions are a worse team than the Minnesota Vikings, right? Of course. And then you go to the Packers example, I would say it's very comparable, right? When you just look from a total team perspective, I think it's very comparable. They went toe-to-toe with the Lions, and we saw what happened. So I don't think we're disrespecting the Vikings. I think you put them where, 5 or 6? And that's fair. Like, there's probably 3 AFC teams better than them.
No, they got to be higher than
2
5
NFC
or
teams
6.
better than them.
They got to be higher than 5 or 6.
But there's not, okay, but you could easily name 4 teams they're probably not beating.
Who?
Right? You could easily go
name the 4.
You could go Green Bay. I would say Green Bay personally. You can go Detroit and Philly, and I think that's fair. You're going to go KC and probably Buffalo. And you can maybe name another team, like maybe even Pittsburgh could potentially beat Minnesota because they have a great defense. Potentially. So you're not even saying Buffalo. You think Minnesota's better than Buffalo?
I think they're better than you're giving them credit for. I do not think that there are 6 teams. I put them in the
top 6. And I named teams that are clearly better than them. In the Chiefs, the Lions, maybe Philly, depending on how you feel about Philly, but I'd put Philly ahead of them.
All right, well, we'll get into it a little bit later. You're riled up. Let's get into the news, man. Let's go. You ready to go?
We've already started the show, so let's just keep going.
Yeah.
The biggest news in the world of sports. Covered and brought to you by one man, Jordan Richards. This is Straight Facts.
All right, everybody. So we did have a decent chunk of news heading into Monday morning, starting off with Sunday Night Football and Justin Herbert, who suffered a leg contusion on late in the first half yesterday. He did return to the game, gutted it out. Great game from Herbert. Ultimately, they, of course, could not get the win, but he should be okay for Week 15. We obviously don't know what's going to happen throughout practice this week, but it does seem like he's going to be okay for Week 15. A player who's not going to be okay is Aiden O'Connell. He was carted off and suffered what is expected to be a season-ending knee injury against the Bucs. Whether it's Desmond Ridder or some other quarterback, who cares at this point? The Raiders are tanking. They need a quarterback. And Aiden O'Connell, hopefully he does get better. We'll see what happens with him in the future, but hopefully he can recover and return to the NFL. But I think he does have some aspect to being a decent quarterback, maybe more as a backup. But I do like AOC. Hope he finds a new home somewhere in the NFL. On the top of that, Isaac Guerendo, because the San Francisco 49ers can't keep the running backs healthy. Guerendo got hurt, and he suffered what is expected to be a foot sprain. X-rays were inconclusive in terms of determining a fracture. He's going to get an MRI today, and we're going to find out the diagnosis for him. Potentially could be out this week, even subsequent weeks as well. So we'll see what happens with Isaac Guerendo. A player who's probably not going to be back this season is Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks.
Man, this sucked, dude.
He went left. And he suffered a non-contact knee injury. Believe it was the same knee that he's tore up in college as well. So Brooks expected to probably be out for the season with a fairly serious knee injury. So really sucks for Brooks because he was starting to ramp up, obviously get involved in this Panthers offense, but I do not expect to see him till at least the 2025 season.
Man.
Derek Carr also fractured his hand trying to jump over a player. I don't know why Derek Carr was trying to do this, but yeah, so he ended up breaking his non-throwing hand, probably going to be out for the year, but we'll see what happens with him. He left with the cast, shouldn't be playing the rest of the year. The Saints are out of it anyways. Carr should be done, and we won't see him anymore. Bucky Irving, who we talk about every week because the injuries for Bucky have been piling up. He left Sunday's game with a back injury late in the first half. He did not return. So we'll see what happens this week with Bucky. He could miss week 15. We know he's been the lead back for the Bucs for the past few weeks, but with all the injuries he's had, he probably could use some time off. So we'll see what happens with him, whether he guts it out once again, or maybe they give him the week off in Tampa. They're now leading the division ahead of the Falcons, so maybe they can afford to do that, especially with the way Rachaad White and Sean Tucker have been playing. So watch out if you do have Bucky Irving. He could be unavailable depending on how that back heals and the other injuries he's been suffering as well. Will Levis re-injured his AC joint in the game on Sunday. I believe that was also late in the first half. He did return to the game after what people expected was an injection to help numb the pain in that shoulder. He's still going to suffer from struggling to throw the ball down the field. And we'll see if he ultimately plays or not. But again, Titans are out of it. Maybe they just go to Mason Rudolph to protect Levis' shoulder. But he did gut it out and come back in what ultimately was a loss for the Tennessee Titans. So hopefully Levis is okay. Credit to him for coming back.
Let me just say this, dude. I've said it for like 3 weeks. Oh yeah, Tennessee's got to just roll with Levis next year. I don't know, man.
You can't lose a game to Mac Jones.
I don't know, man. I'm watching like this dude is ass. Go ahead, man.
Last but not least, before we get into the college football playoff, which is now set, your boy Ray, Juan Soto, signed a 15-year, $765 million contract. And this is why I always told you, make sure you put those kids in baseball because you never know. You just never know what can happen.
Fielder. Let's go.
Who knows where he's going to play from ages 35 to 41, but who cares? Because they got Juan Soto, arguably the best hitter in Major League Baseball. I still think the Mets are a very questionable lineup, but this definitely makes them significantly better. And most importantly, the Yankees still suck. They are not getting any free agents. And the old days of the Yankees are officially over, Ray. And we can finally just gift wrap them, put them in the basement in the AL East where they belong, and they can have fun suffering way down there.
$750 million to
51 a year.
This is how
zero deferred, which is ridiculous.
This is how insane just the sport of baseball is. And now that I've got two boys that are into it, I've learned more and grown to appreciate it more. You fail 7 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer, dude. If you can just fail 70% of the time, just be successful 30% of the time you're at the plate. You got them Hall of Fame player, man. You're an all-star caliber player.
You're a $300 million player, yeah.
It's crazy. $775 million for him to go out there and stand in right field and hit bombs. And hit bombs.
Just to watch the ball go past the plate.
Yeah.
He is sick though. He's really good.
What
$700 million good?
Yeah, what? $6K.
He is though. Yeah, he's worth it. I don't care.
An hour. Yeah. Do you know what I would do for $6,000 an hour, Jay?
I do not want to know what you would do for $6,000 an hour.
And it ain't Friday, so we'll save that. But news-wise, some of the things that I want to touch on, really unfortunate for Jonathan Brooks. You're going to get a lot of people today say that he shouldn't have been out there in the first place. Why did he play? It happens, is. What do you do? I mean, Scott, we're in a text thread together, and Scott Connor, shout out to Scott, Destination Dynasty on the feed. He asked straight up, Jonathan Brooks or Isaiah Davis, who would you rather have in Dynasty moving forward? Same knee. And initially, I was like, oh, yeah, it's like Jonathan Brooks still, but what does this do for his value? I mean, same knee. And I have been, Jay, this is not because he just got hurt. I've been saying that I thought he was a good running back, but I didn't believe that he was this. I thought he was okay. I thought he was a good running back that in the right system, it looked like it would work, but this wasn't the type of prospect that we were hoping would become this generational type running back. What do you do with him now?
I think it's tough. I mean, at this point, the value is very little. It does remind me a lot of J.K. Dobbins when he suffered his big knee injury, came all the way back, and I believe it was the first game of the season, he tore his Achilles. Right? And then he was out for the year again. And you're like, well, now what do you do with this guy? You've been holding on to him, trading for him, watching the ramp up period, hoping he can come back and be great. And it's almost even worse because you look at Dobbins when he was in college and he was an absolute monster compared to Brooks, who just so happened to be the best running back in what was a lower tier running back draft class. And now you have a situation where Chuba Hubbard got extended. Thank God for the Panthers they got that done, because his price probably would have went up should Brooks have gotten hurt, right? That leverage would have been gone at that point. And then you have a very strong running back class. And if you're the Panthers, how do you not take a running back? The running back
they're going to
last season is hurt again.
They're going
and
to. I
you don't
thought
know
that
when he's going to be back. He might be completely cooked at this point. You really don't know. So they're going to have to draft a back. And in a talented draft class, they could probably get a Jonathan Brooks in the 3rd or 4th round. And he's going to be healthy, hopefully. I mean, we'll see what happens. And you still have Chuba Hubbard, who's under contract for, I believe, the next 2 seasons guaranteed. So at this point, Jonathan Brooks is in a committee at best. And if somehow he can work his way to the top of that committee, he's still an asset who has 2 serious knee injuries. You know, we'll wait to see what the prognosis is.
Right.
Expected to be 2 serious knee injuries. And I think that for fantasy football is basically a declining asset at this point.
It sucks, man. It's football. It's the game. It's the biggest X factor that none of us can account for, are injuries and availability. And this is the same knee that he tore, and it's late. Joe said it. Joe said in the chat. Shout out to our girl Joe. She said, "What if he's not even ready until week 8 of 2025 to go out there and play? Like, what are you holding on to?" It's just an unfortunate situation, and I'm not going to go to the point of he shouldn't have been out there, because the Carolina Panthers, they seem like they did everything possible to slow play it and get him on the field. And he didn't start out the year as the lead back. Even coming back, they still gave Chuba Hubbard the ball. So it seemed like Carolina took care of him.
They held him out for a while,
as best as they could. It's just an unfortunate injury that happens in a game that there is a 100% injury rate guarantee, and that's football. So prayers up for Jonathan Brooks. Really unfortunate for him. But we do have to talk about the college football playoffs, Jay. CFPP, college football playoffs, CFBP. College football playoffs are set. We had some great conference championships this past weekend. I want to start off talking about the SEC title game. We got to start talking about the SEC title game. UGA, Georgia Bulldogs, got it done over the Texas Longhorns. Jay, did you get a chance to watch any of the conference championship?
I did. I was locked in. Of all the games I tend to watch every year, the SEC champ is always one of them. And my goodness, it was both great and bad. But I think the worst part about it from this game standpoint was just the fact that Texas couldn't score at the rate that we really expected from them. I thought that both teams played really strong, especially the way that the Bulldogs played after Carson Beck got hurt. But Gunnar Stockton, man, I haven't seen this much grit since Mad Max Duggan was doing it out at TCU against Michigan.
Grit.
Like,
that grit.
The grit on this kid to come into the game, lead them to a touchdown. I mean, come on, Ray. This was a great game. And it's so
Georgia
funny
threw collectively, they threw for 136 yards and an interception. I thought about this long and hard. I have not seen a fall from number 1 pick overall this hard since Matt Barkley at USC. It was Matt Barkley. I believe it was the 2009 season. It was Lane Kiffin's final season at USC. Matt Barkley was projected the year before to be the number 1 pick. They're going to win. USC was number 2 in the country, I believe, coming into the season. And Matt Barkley went from projected number 1 overall pick. I think he was drafted by Buffalo in the 5th round. Carson Beck is terrible. He's terrible, Jay. He is so bad.
Week 1, we talked about he's terrible, man.
And I'm watching Jordan. No shade to Bulldogs fans watching. Y'all are in. You made it. I'm watching Kirby Smart, and he doesn't even look excited. He's like, "Damn it, we made it. You know, we made it." I'm not there.
God, we made it.
I'm not there with Carson. I don't know what Georgia does next year. I'm not there with Carson Beck. I think Trevor Etienne is a really good running back. But I want to talk about Quinn. What does Quinn do? Quinn threw for 358. I thought he played well. 2 interceptions. One of them wasn't his fault. Receiver juggled the ball, dropped that shit. I think it was Isaiah Bond. What does he do? Because they've got to put Arch, man. And I asked Marcus, damn it. Marcus, what are y'all doing? Arch has got to play, Jay. Is Quinn declaring or is he transferring? If he declares, what's he, a day?
He didn't show enough to declare right now.
Is he a day 2 pick, late day 2 pick? I don't know, man.
I think it depends on who declares, obviously, but I think he could be. You know, a 3rd round pick. A 3rd round pick, right? Kyle Trask, right? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. The thing with Quinn that's so crazy is, like, you see some of the throws he makes, and you're like, man, how the hell did he throw that ball over the cornerback to Matthew Golden, who was able to catch it full extension, but he just misses some very simple throws, or he misses some easy reads. And it's just the inconsistencies with Quinn. You talk about who's going to be the quarterback next year. I've always been in the belief that it's going to be Arch.
I thought he played. I didn't think he played that bad in the game. I did not.
In the red zone, he wasn't very good, though.
What'd you say?
Like towards the red area, he wasn't very good. Like once the field got short and condensed, that's when, Marcus brought it up in the chat, the running game wasn't there, and we kind of expected that given their plethora of injuries at running back and, of course, facing the Georgia Bulldogs. But then you need Quinn to step up, and they just weren't able to find the right mix of plays.
I'm not a
and
Texas
2 missed field
Longhorn
goals
fan,
in this game.
But down here in the state, I got to rep for Texas. Should have won this game. I was not overly impressed with Georgia. I have not been, but Georgia got it done. Texas lost. Hell of an opening year in the SEC for UT, and I do think the future is bright for that program. And let's not forget that they lost, I think, they're starting 2 tailbacks at the beginning of the season. Said Baxter.
Like first 3 weeks.
Yeah, first couple of weeks of the season. And they got a lot of young talent there at UT. Let's talk about another conference championship game quickly, Jay. Did you have a chance to watch Cam Skattebo and Arizona State win in a Big 12 championship over Iowa State? And after the game, Skattebo said that he, JRich, not Ashton Jeanty, not Omarion Hampton, he said, I'm the best damn running back in the country. Arizona State now has a first-round bye in the college football playoffs, and it really sets the precedent that conference champions over, non-conference champs that play a hard schedule, that is where the committee's priority will be. 45-19, they beat down Iowa State. The quarterback was good, 3 touchdowns. Skattebo, 2 touchdowns in this matchup as well. What do you think about Cam Skattebo saying he's the best in the country? Because you don't like Ashton Jeanty that much. So would you take Skattebo, don't do it, over an Ashton Jeanty? What do you think about Cam Skattebo?
I'm not saying I would take him because I've never watched Cam Skattebo play. I'm not up when Arizona State plays either.
Think of Tyler Algier. That's exactly who he is.
I can see he can break some tackles, right?
He's Tyler Algier.
That's the problem. Tyler Algier is great until you put him in a real conference, and all of a sudden you can't break those tackles, and he's not so good. But Skattebo did break a bunch of tackles. He had some big runs in that game.
Yeah.
And I think he could be a good physical type running back in the NFL should he carve out a role there. So I didn't watch the game, but yeah, Arizona State beat them down. Holy hell.
And then Boise State got a dub. Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, they beat UNLV, hometown.
Surprise.
Rebels. I did not know. Hey, they hung in there, 21-17. We'll take this season for UNLV Rebels. Boise State got it done. 32 carries for Ashton Jeanty. 32 carries for Jeanty. 209 yards and 1 touchdown. Jay, did this performance in this championship game change your feeling and opinion about Ashton Jeanty being a generational running back?
No.
Not at all.
I have to ask you this. You can be biased, but you are a relatively objective source of football information.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That 75-yard touchdown, did he really have to do anything, or was it an extremely well-blocked play? Because it felt like he basically got to the safety untouched. He maybe had to break an arm tackle, but it was a very well-blocked play, and outside of that, he didn't do a ton. And they still gave him that carry at the end of the game to try and get him to whatever, the 2,500-yard mark, and he didn't get there. Ultimately, finally, they had to kneel because they were just running up the score at that point. And it's like, okay, dude, you won the game. Just kneel the ball. But it is what it is. Jeanty played great in this game, carried them to the bye, and everyone's very excited. And he's still 25-1. Oh,
here goes. All right.
So it is what it is.
This is what's been so shocking about this. There are more people on your side of this argument than I
love
thought.
that people have seen this
Marcus
and they're running with it.
He's great against mid defenses. Okay,
let's go, Marcus. Now we're talking.
You called him the Mountain West version. Here it is, right here. Greg has it. The Jeanty equals Mountain West Brian Robinson. You guys are. Marcus must have been talking about Skattebo.
Oh, okay.
Skattebo's going to end up looking like Ollie Gordon did in the Big 12 championship game last year when they play. Listen, Marcus Mosier, that does a lot of stuff with Locked On Dallas Cowboys, he was tweeting about Ashton Jeanty on Saturday. And he said, Boise State's Ashton Jeanty will have well over 800 collegiate touches by the time his career is over.
Yeah.
Other first-round running back touches, Jay. Let me just give you some other first-round RB touches. Bijan, 599. Gibbs, 487. Najee, who you feel like was a high-volume back,
He was a
718.
bell cow.
ETN, 788. CEH, 439. Josh Jacobs, 299. Saquon Barkley, 773. Rashad Penny, 532. And Sony Michel, 655. And then he went on to say the last first-round running back to have over 800 touches in college was Darren McFadden, 831. Do you think that there is, when it's all said and done, do you think the volume, the amount of touches, the hits on him, this is going to impact him at all at the next level? Or do you think there's much to do about nothing with collegiate carries translating or impacting future success at the next level?
I don't think we should care at all, honestly.
Okay.
The running back position is a first contract position. If you get a player who can get a second one, great for you. But you should not be drafting Ashton Jeanty as the hope that he is Saquon Barkley and has, an 8, 9, 10-year NFL career, because that's so difficult to come by already. Even great running backs like Todd Gurley is a perfect example of a running back who easily could have been a Hall of Famer, but probably won't because of injury. And if Ashton Jeanty kind of had a similar path where he just got too banged up over the years and was only able to play 7 or 6 seasons, that's still great for you because all those years he plays, he's probably going to be very productive. So no real concerns for Jeanty. It's an interesting stat to look at it because you look at a Jacobs and you're like, he's deteriorating. He's kind of wearing down. But that lack of usage at Alabama definitely is benefiting him now in the NFL. He's still a very young running back and just having the less wear and tear on his body. But he's been dealing with injuries as well. So as you said, you're going to get hurt and hopefully it doesn't impact you. But Jeanty in this high volume maybe will give some NFL teams some confidence to give him a lot of carries in the NFL as well. So it may even help him, like we kind of seen from Najee Harris, who has a massive workload right now.
Yeah, Najee's playing well. The Big Ten Championship game, another first-time team, number 1 team in the country, the Oregon Ducks, beat the Penn State Nittany Lions 45-37. I thought this was as entertaining as a game as there was. Points all over the place. We got to see a lot of potential high-end NFL draft caliber talent in this matchup, highlighted, I'm going to say, by the losing team. Did you finally get a chance to watch Tyler Warren, people? Did you finally get a chance to see Tyler Warren play? And he dropped the long pass in this matchup.
He did.
He's the tight end one. He's going to have a Brock Bowers level of impact at the next level. He's that good. Right now, if we're just talking dynasty rookie draft, ADP, like he's inside the top 10. I don't give a shit about quarterback, running back. He's a top 10 rookie draft caliber weapon at the tight end position. He was good in this matchup as well. On the Oregon side, Tez Johnson, somebody that I like a lot, finally had his big game, 180 yards receiving in this matchup. He'll be at the Senior Bowl. Dillon Gabriel was efficient and surgical once again, as he always is at the 15 colleges that he's played at. But I think one of the bigger names coming out of this game, and he did not have the biggest game, but looking ahead to the NFL and skill set, intangibles, tools, traits, talent, all of those things, I was very impressed by quarterback Drew Allar from Penn State. I do not believe that this is the type of quarterback that you want to draft and plug and play. Jay, I do not believe this is the type of quarterback that you want to draft and play from day one. If he can land in a spot where he can sit, let's just hypothetically vibe with me here. And I don't even want to use this team because they drafted a Penn State quarterback in the past and it was a failed experience, drafted him in the second round. But let's say the Jets, for whatever reason, run it back with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. I would love Drew Allar in New York, not learning behind Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to teach him shit, but having a chance to sit and prep and practice and watch. The whole point is I don't believe he's the type of quarterback that you want to play right away. Give Allar a year and a half to sit, to learn. I think you've got something there. I was very impressed with him. Again, 2 interceptions in the game. One of them, I'm not really going to count against him. That shit just happens. I thought Drew Allar looked good in this one. And when you're thinking about the first round of the NFL draft and therefore what we'll be chasing in Superflex, it does seem like Shedeur and Cam Ward are going to be locked in at the top of the draft in some order. No Carson Beck. I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to declare. Jackson Dart seems more like a day 2 type of pick. Carson Beck, no thank you. Drew Allar, I think he's going to find his way in the first round. And today, when I update and redo Mock Monday, so there will be a mock draft that drops this afternoon, he will be in the first round. of my first round of my mock draft this week. He will be in the first round. Thoughts on this game? Thoughts on Tyler Warren, Drew Allar, Penn State, Oregon? Where you at with it?
Yeah, I mean, considering how this game started for Oregon, it was expected that they would kind of blow them out, at least for me. I didn't think Penn State was going to be able to hang in this game, and they did very well, not just running the ball, but throwing the ball as well with Drew Allar. And he's kind of the one that impressed me the most because I think when you look at this team, you don't really look and see a bunch of pass-catching options here. It's Tyler Warren and kind of just like a spattering of running backs and a couple of receiving weapons, and Allar had to kind of make up for a lot of that. And his ability to move in the pocket, throw from crazy arm angles with zip, with accuracy, like it's more of a gimmick type thing, and it's not where you want to go crazy with the evaluation to say, oh yeah, he's going to be the great quarterback in the NFL, because you still have to be able to do the standard stuff at an extremely high level, as well as do things off script. But what he did off script was very impressive, and the arm talent probably the best of anyone that played on Saturday, period. And I think when you look to that perspective, you can't help but think like, okay, cool, you may want a Jalen Milroe or a Jackson Dart or a Quinn Ewers, but if you do develop Drew Allar, there's going to be those comps to Josh Allen because of the arm talent coming out of Wyoming, and we've seen that already. I believe Kyle Krabs put out an article from the 33rd team doing that same comparison, but I think the development could be there for Allar if he gets the time to do so.
I like him. I like him as a developmental guy. Josh Allen, I'm not going to go there. I think he can move around a little. I'll say this. I think Drew Allar is a little better mover of the football in space than Shedeur. I don't think Shedeur can move well at all. He runs around a lot, but he probably should not. And Cam Ward's not a mover as well. A couple of comments that I want to bring up from the chat. They were talking about Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson is going to be a dog at the next level. Been talking about him since day one. Really? Like the very first mock that I put out, he was in round one. His speed is very reminiscent. His play style is very, very reminiscent to Tank Dell, in my opinion. And Hunter John Green just said it. He said that Tank Dell, Josh Downs.
It looked like they had 5 Tank Dells out there for Oregon.
And then Jason said Evan Stewart and Isaiah Bond look like the wide receiver versions of Beck and Ewers. Yeah. Have not been really overly impressed with either. And I see a lot of people saying Drew Allar should come back for another season. Drew Allar come back for another 100%. Season at Penn State. I could see that. I could see that too. I could see that as well. He looked good in that matchup, in my opinion. Let's round out with the final of the big championships, the ACC championship game, where Dabo Swinney let the world know emphatically over and over again that the Lord preordained that win for the Clemson Tigers, that God allowed that field goal kicker to boom in a 57-yarder with 1 second left to take down SMU. The Clemson Tigers got it done against SMU. I thought it was an entertaining game. SMU being in the building. South Oak Cliff resident, Kevin Jennings, somebody that I've talked about, probably needing a big NIL bag. I think he played very well in this big-time matchup for SMU. Clemson got it done, but SMU still in the college football playoff. That was they certainly are. A big thing, right? There were a lot of people kind of, is Alabama going to get in? Like, who's going to get in? And you look at it, Jay, and SMU is still in. Hold on, once we get it up there. Let's get the bracket up, right? Let's get the bracket up. There we go. So we've got Clemson versus Texas. Arizona State's got the bye. Tennessee versus Ohio State. Oregon gets the bye on that side. SMU, Penn State with Boise getting the bye. And then Indiana, Notre Dame with Georgia getting a bye. So talk about the playoff matchup, how you feeling about these games. Year one, I'm excited as hell for this. It's pretty damn cool that we get college football so much, over the next couple of weeks. And I'm excited for these matchups, Jai.
Yeah, they should be some really good ones. I think the only thing for me, Ray, that's kind of funny is it feels like the matchups I want are just kind of going to just walk right in. Like you look at Texas, they got to play Clemson, maybe going to be tough, but then they play Arizona State. They're basically walking into the semifinals against Oregon as we kind of see it right now. Penn State SMU is interesting. I think Penn State would probably dog walk Boise State, but we'll see. Maybe Ashton Jeanty can have something to say about that. And then Georgia should probably come through on that side of the bracket. Do you feel any differently about it? Because I think the problem for me is if you laid it out in like just a 4-team playoff, those would be probably the 4 teams. The 2 teams are in the Big Ten champ and the 2 teams are in the SEC champ. And now the way it stands, it's probably going to end up that way if all the favorites win.
I want to see Jeanty versus Georgia. I just want to see Jeanty versus Georgia to see what he would do against that defense. Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon. Give me whichever one. Texas, I need Texas to get it done versus Clemson. I need for them to go out there and put Dabo Swinney out of his misery. And then versus Arizona State, I don't think it'll be an easy matchup. That's a good team. I don't know if you've seen them, really watch them play. Arizona State, they can play a little football, but I do think Texas will come out of that side.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I don't know. I'm just excited.
Who do you got
for
between
it.
Tennessee and Ohio State? That's the game that I have no idea who's going to. I don't know who's going to win. Is Nico going to show up? Is Will Howard going to show up? Is this game just going to be 10-7?
It's going to be a Dylan Sampson game. It's going to be all Dylan Sampson, all Tennessee. I think they get it done. And then Indiana, Notre Dame. Probably like the least exciting game that I'm interested in.
I don't know if Notre Dame's any good, but they're probably going to win that game.
Marcus Freeman has got a good program. Jeremiah Love, if you haven't seen him play, he should be favored as RB1 in 2026. Jeremiah Love is very, very good. So if anything, watch him of how insanely, incredibly talented Jeremiah Love is. All right, a lot of college talk, a lot of rookie talk. Jay, give us the top 10, since we're here right now. What's the projected top 10 order right now in the NFL draft? Do you know it? Do we have that off the top?
I do. So the projected order, and this is mainly because Jacksonville beat Tennessee, which we kind of already touched on very briefly. The top 10 order, in order: Las Vegas, the New York Giants, the New England Patriots, Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville from 1 to 5 after one victory, Tennessee at 6, the Jets at 7, 3-10, and they are the 7th overall pick, Cleveland 8, Chicago 9, and Cincinnati at 10 right now. I believe if they were to win tonight, they would hop the Saints and go to 11, but wouldn't move up any further than that. So there's your top 10: Vegas, Giants, Patriots, Panthers, Jags, Titans, Jets, Browns, Bears, Bengals.
This is setting up, at least today, this is setting up nicely for your New England Patriots to land Travis Hunter, because if Vegas and the Giants are 1-2, it feels like a foregone conclusion that Shedeur would be the selection of the Raiders. But let me just ask you, is there any chance Las Vegas would draft Travis Hunter instead of a quarterback, given how bad the QB situation is in Las Vegas? Would they take Hunter at 1 over any of the quarterbacks?
I wouldn't put it past them because I think they're morons. But I think with Brady there's just no way. At this point, I think with Brady being part of the ownership
group,
is he
pulling strings, though? Is he really pulling strings? I'm asking because I don't know. Is he?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, I don't know any more than you do, but I would not be shocked if he was. Like, just the idea of him saying, just give me Shedeur Sanders. Like, forget the rest. Just give me Shedeur Sanders, and I will coach him to be our quarterback of the future. Like, that is probably the most unfair advantage in the league right now. Now, we don't know if that's going to be the case, but it certainly seems like it. And I believe he was also working with Brady previously in the offseason and stuff as well, right? So there is that connection already, and he is the favorite. He's now minus 120 to go first overall. Where before he was like plus 150 or so, because obviously Jacksonville the first pick. But I'm actually low-key hoping that Jacksonville trades up with New England to get Hunter. That way we can get some more draft picks. So we can slide down to 5, maybe get Ted at 5. You know, Hunter would be great, but it's interesting now they're back at the 3 slot.
Now
I think
this
the trade down from the 3 slot is really good.
Jamal this is galaxy brain here. This is so far-fetched that I just vibe with it. We're having some fun on a Monday. But this is not my comments. These are not my thoughts. This is Jamal Thompson. Pull the Texans and buy back into the first like Houston. Can they? Do you think there's a world? Is there a world, Jay?
The Raiders? You think the Raiders go 1-2?
Is there a world? What would it look like? Because if you're the Giants, right?
Well, the Giants can still take Cam Ward, though. I think you can go to New England and trade with them instead. Not that the price is going to be much different.
Do you think Brady would have the pull to get in the craft and be like, we want to make this trade and take Travis Hunter? They take Shedeur and Hunter. Is it possible? Just tell. I wouldn't have thought the Texans could trade back up and go 2 back-to-back damn picks.
But the problem is the Texans have like the 10th
yeah, they had a bunch
of The Raiders don't have another first round pick. That's the problem. So they have 2/3 and that's it. And I believe the third might even be a comp pick from the Jets and could be a second by the time the draft comes around.
That would be wild.
So they'd be trading they'd be trading like 3 first-round picks, right? Because they'd have to trade probably their second, 2 thirds, a fourth.
It's Vegas.
Like
it's showtime. It's showtime. It's Vegas. The A's are coming. The A's are coming. Shador's already tweeting out
Jamil saying Stadium. Brady has blackmail.
What is that?
Jamil said Brady has blackmail. He's probably referencing old Jay-Z, who got himself a few more problems over the weekend.
Stop. 99. Stop. All right, we're going to break. Hit the thumbs up button. Like the content. We'll be back. NFL talk. Puka Nacua. Would you rather? Just how damn good is he? A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith a little disgruntled too. And Kirk Cousins stinking it up so badly. We'll be back after the break. Yo, Jay, people are saying trade Max Crosby. Appreciate y'all pulling up, tapping back in. Let's wake up with Ray and Jay. Hit that thumbs up button, like the content, like the stream. Check out the podcast radio feed. Go to ddfantasyfootball.com. Follow the dots. Trust the Trinity. A lot of good hits this week from the last week's episode if you haven't checked that out. And then Mock Draft Monday. I'll be dropping a mock later today. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. on Bleacher Report. Open up your app. Your boy be on there. Going through the power rankings. Show some love. Show some love. Show some love. Bleacher Report, all that good stuff. Jay, people are saying trade Max Crosby. Max Crosby.
They should have, right?
Trade him.
They should have.
People are vibing with the Galaxy brain this morning that there is a possibility the Raiders might be able to pull something like this
Lots of time
off.
for the Galaxy brain.
There's a lot of time for the Galaxy brain. Let's get to the NFL, though, Jay. There was a big game on this past Sunday. It was the game of the week. And Josh Allen, the league leader for MVP, did not get it done, losing to the Rams on the road. The offense was just humming in this matchup. But Josh Allen put on his cape, superhuman, to lead them close to victory. For fantasy, he did his damn thing and got it done for us. Talk about Josh Allen and the Bills losing this one, Jay. Does this hurt his MVP odd at all?
No, it helped his MVP odds. He's now minus 400 to win the MVP. I mean, when you go for 342, 3 touchdowns, you run for 82 yards, lead your team in rushing, another 3 touchdowns. What else is there to say? It's not his fault they lost. He put up 42 points. Yeah. And he had, I believe it was the highest fantasy output in fantasy football history since like 1970 or something.
Dude.
This is just ridiculous what Josh Allen did. And the sad part was necessary because they just fell so far behind so early, and he drove them all the way back to almost coming back and winning this game. It was
the really first time, I think it was the first time in NFL history where there were 5 rushing touchdowns, 5 passing touchdowns, and no turnovers in this matchup. None.
Yeah.
No turnovers,
both QBs
no fumbles.
had a 90 QBR. Both of them.
I mean, they were both surgical. And what's so impressive is Allen is throwing it to Mac Hollins, Ty Johnson, Khalil. Like, these are not household superstar names.
Got there.
I mean, James Cook was awful. I traded for him this week. He was awful. 6 for 20. Allen, 3 touchdowns passing and 3 touchdowns rushing. Like, good Lord. Other side of the ball, Matthew Stafford. He's not retiring, Jay.
Ballin'.
Like, why is he retiring? Why is Matthew Stafford? Kelly Stafford already got the Rams to change from that rap music in the locker room. They're good. He's good. Stafford is good. There's no need to retire. There's no need to leave. McVay and the coaching job that he's done with this Rams team, they're right there. They control their own destiny. If the Rams win out, they win the NFC West. They will own the tiebreaker over Seattle.
They have a game with Seattle?
They will have swept Seattle. The Rams went out. The Rams are in the playoffs. 1 year removed from Aaron Donald retiring. Puka Nacua being injured to start the season. Cooper Kupp always hurt. This team is awesome, and it's led by Stafford and Kyron Williams. 29 rush attempts for bell cow. Kyron, remember all those people the offseason, Jay? Sell Kyron, not that good. Don't buy him. Don't believe in him. He just gets it done. 5th in the league in rushing yards. 2nd in the league in carries. 3rd in the league in touchdowns. He's a Pro Bowl running back. He deserves a deal. Kyron is awesome, but the big dog that we have to talk about, JRich, is one Puka Nacua, who every week, there's no doubt, just he is the alpha of this team.
Yeah.
This dude's got 708 receiving yards, and it doesn't even feel like he's played half the season. The catches that he's making, the body control, and he looks so just physically, he's Anquan Bolden reincarnated. And I do think that if he is me, if he looked a little different, if he had a different level of swag, you think I'm bullshitting, but I'm dead ass, man. If he looked a little different, had a little different swag to him, how could you not say he's a top 3? How's he not a top 3 receiver in the league? Jamar Chase, yes. Justin Jefferson, absolutely. I think we start to have the conversation after that. You've got A.J. Brown. You've got CeeDee Lamb. There's Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown. How many receivers right now, today, would you take over Puka Nacua?
Man, that's tough. So for me, it's Chase and Jefferson are right
Yes.
there, probably ahead of him. They're both
Yes.
really, really good. I think the conversation really comes down to CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Puka Nacua. Ranking those guys is very tough because they're different receivers. Like Puka and CeeDee are very similar in my opinion. Like they both are really
You
good
think
after
so?
the catch. Okay. I think when you're talking about comparable receivers, CeeDee and Puka are like they do very similar things well. Right? Like CeeDee can run reverses in the same way that Puka can, and they're both great over the middle, intermediate, can get deep, but don't do it a ton. But how do you rate those guys, Ray, against a player like Nico Collins, who I think for a lot of coaches would be their wide receiver 1, just because of his frame, the way he
what
gets
would
down
Puka
the
be?
field.
Puka
Puka would be a 1 as well, but just you're comparing the 3 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could take your preference. I wouldn't say I prefer Collins. But it's an interesting conversation. I think CeeDee and Puka are like 3 or 4. Take your pick. I think they're very similar. But I would have him over Amon-Ra and I have him over Neighbors probably as well.
Oh, yeah, I've got him over Neighbors.
The question for me is whether you prefer CeeDee and Nico versus Puka.
What about A.J. Brown? I put A.J. Brown ahead of him, but is that...
I do love A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is tough because I think he's different from the other guys. Like he's not a guy who necessarily is going to make a ridiculous sideline catch or
right.
He's so talented, like so good after the catch, great body control. Like I love AJ Brown, but I just don't know if I'd put him in that top, I don't know, 3 or 4. But he's very, very good. I think he's got a slightly more limited skill set, but what he does well, especially after the catch, he's probably the best in the league just because he's so big.
I'm looking at the chat right now. Colin says, what's Colin say right here? Give me Puka, Nico, and Lamb in that order.
Rasheed Rice is another guy that's similar mold to all those guys. I wouldn't say he's as talented, though, personally.
Anahola says Puka over CD is close, but I would take Puka. I think people think that till it hits your inbox.
It's a recency bias, right? It's a recency bias thing.
Man, a little bit of recency bias, but I think the bigger thing is he's a very good wide receiver. He's a very good receiver. I do believe that top 5 is definitely an appropriate slot, and however you want to rank him inside of that, go for it. Jimbo, you asked me, what did I buy James Cook for? It was a first, Rashad Bateman, and it was something else. It was something else. It was first Bateman, and I got back James Cook, and there was another like auxiliary player that I got back, but he didn't do shit for me yesterday. All right, where are we at next, Jay? The Vikings. Let's talk through some Vikings. And Falcons, more importantly, Sam Darnold, 5 touchdown passes. Jordan Addison, 3. Justin Jefferson, 2. I mean, where's Darnold playing at next year, Jay? They're saying no contract talks. No contract talks right now in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. No contract talk right now in Minnesota. So it appears that J.J. McCarthy will be the starting quarterback unless Minnesota wins a Super Bowl. Who knows? Goes far.
Maybe Daniel Jones, maybe?
I don't think it'll be Daniel Jones, but why won't it be Sam Darnold? If they continue to play well, let's just say they lose in the NFC Championship game.
Yes.
Could it be maybe a Purdy, Trey Lance to where the team is like, we want Sam Darnold. We want to roll with this dude who got us here, helped us put up these numbers, that led this team to, the 16-2 record or 5th, whatever they'll end up being. Why won't they commit to Sam Darnold? And why are they going to roll with JJ McCarthy?
I think it just comes down to money, right? I think there's a world where you're right, and they could bring him back. But, I mean, look at the teams out there. Let's just kind of run down the list of teams that could need a quarterback.
Yes.
Vegas, they need a quarterback. They would probably pay $30 to $40 million for Sam Darnold. Again, They probably going to draft a quarterback. The Giants, another team that could probably pay for a quarterback. Carolina, probably not going to do that. Jacksonville, probably not. Tennessee, though, maybe a sleeper to pay for Sam Darnold and his services. The New York Jets, potentially a sleeper to bring back Sam Darnold. Again, seems unlikely. Cleveland probably can't make it work financially. Chicago, no. Cincinnati, no. New Orleans is definitely an option for Sam Darnold, and I believe there has been some mutual interest there. Not going to see Dallas, Miami. Very unlikely to be Indy. Atlanta, no way. Arizona, no way. San Fran, no way. The Rams, and then it really only goes down from there. There's not really any other spots.
Yeah.
But maybe, Ray, could Seattle be a team that goes after a veteran quarterback?
No,
like
they
Sam
got
Darnold
Geno
instead of Geno.
No.
Okay.
The Seahawks have won 4 in a row. They're 8-5. They don't control their own destiny, but no. Geno Smith is number 1 in
Probably
the NFL
fine.
in passing yards. 12 interceptions, 22nd in QBR, not a lot of touchdowns, but I don't think they would pivot from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. The spots are limited. To your point, the spots are very limited for Sam Darnold, but I do think he's going to land somewhere.
Teams are going to draft rookies, right? So then it comes down to does a spot exist where, he's getting a $35 million bag and Minnesota's not matching that, right? They're just not.
No.
That's not happening because they got him for like $20 million or maybe probably even less than that. So I think the problem isn't so much do they want him? It's he's probably going to cost more than they'd be willing to pay for him when they can build the roster elsewhere and have JJ McCarthy at the helm, and they'll have to kind of see what happens with that because maybe it won't work out. But I think that bet is the bet you make in today's NFL.
Yeah, I am. I'm very much with you on that one. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins, though. Kirk Cousins in the last 3 games, 8 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts,
3
non-existent. This team had a stranglehold on the NFC South, and I believe they are behind Tampa Bay now. I believe Tampa Bay
They are
leapfrogged the Atlanta Falcons.
And lost
This
both
was a
games
big
to
bet.
them.
This was a big bet that they made by bringing in Kirk Cousins off of the Achilles. And it's funny, the first 15 plays, he looked awesome. Those first 15 scripted plays where they know what they're going to do.
Baby. They fool everybody.
You got to, when you're watching football, the first 15, 20 plays, you need to take a chill pill, right? After when they're done with their script and you got to adjust, he doesn't look good. He does not look good. Now, they gave him a lot of money. I don't think that they're going to pull him for Penix, especially with them still in the playoff hunt. How on earth will this end? How does this end for Sam Darnold, for the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris, Zach Robinson, and this high-flying Atlanta offense that we have been planting beans for 3 years for this offense to be like I'm going to make sure people don't forget because we like to forget some shit, right? We forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to forget this comment earlier. It is our worst take of the season, Jay. Remember we were talking about the Vikings being 0-7 before, but they weren't going to win a game.
And going to JJ McCarthy.
They weren't going to win a game this season. They were going to finish dead last. Awful take.
That was a brutal one.
Completely the opposite. Awful take. But people in fantasy legitimately talked about this Atlanta offense like it was going to be the greatest show on turf. It was going to be the Mike Martz, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce led Rams. And this offense ain't nothing like that. Bijan is good. Algier is fine. Mooney is good. London is good, not great. Kyle Pitts is awful. This offense is not the greatest show on turf. And we're doing it kind of again with Penix. Like, what if Kirk Cousins is struggling to this degree? Do we really think Penix is going to come in and save this Atlanta team as a rookie quarterback who a lot of people didn't really even like that much coming out of college? Are we really banking and believing that Penix is going to be the savior for this team?
I don't think that's the bet you're making when you put Penix in. It's just you need to do something to save this team, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you think it's the right answer, but it may just be as simple as Carson Beck gets hurt, Gunnar Stockton comes in, puts up 10 points on the board, and they end up winning the game in overtime. It's just a different player to spark the team, to reignite the offense, the defense, etc. Because, Ray, this week they go into Vegas. And there is no way in hell Kirk Cousins starts the game against the Giants on December 22nd if they lose to the Raiders. There is no way.
You don't think so?
Happening.
You don't think so?
You cannot survive a loss to the Raiders. We've seen it happen time and time again. There is no way Kirk Cousins can survive a loss, because at that point, if the Bucs win and the Falcons lose again, they're 2 games out of the division and basically they're toast, right? So so that's where you look at this situation. You say, okay, Zach Robinson's been decent, and I don't know if you saw the reports that apparently Oklahoma State was going to hire him to be their head coach if Mike Gundy didn't restructure his contract. Which was really interesting because I didn't think he was going anywhere. But apparently Zach Robinson could have been on the way out to go coach his alma mater if Mike Gundy didn't restructure his contract, which I thought was crazy because obviously he's got this Atlanta job. I thought he was a guy who maybe was seen as a head coaching candidate down the line, but he potentially was going to go to college. So now you have a situation where you have Penix, drafted him high. We kind of had this debate all offseason whether Kirk could be bad enough to where they have to go to Penix just to see, is this guy a potential quarterback of the future? Because we know he's 24 years old, highly drafted pick, and I think we are very close. You know, there's going to be a lot of discussion this week about Penix versus Kirk, who you should play.
Oh, it's going to be all over
there. Yeah. Like, it is unavoidable at this point. They've lost 4 straight games. They're not leading the division anymore, and they have to beat the Raiders. And I do believe that maybe a Penix spark could beat the Raiders, but if Kirk starts and he doesn't win, it's over. Like,
and you know who's going to, and it would be poetic justice that the Raiders have to start Desmond Ridder. If Desmond Ridder beats, I'm with you. If Ridder
Arthur
beats
Blank
Atlanta,
would not have it, bro. It's over for Kirk at that point.
But here's the problem, though.
It could happen.
It's not over because they've got to pay him through 26, I believe. Like, they're on the hook.
I think it's 25.
I'm almost positive that he's on the books next year for a lot of millions of dollars.
Next year. Yeah, it's like $40 million again next year, and then I think another 12 to 20 after that.
At least for 25.
He's definitely on the. But I think to my point though, if Penix is even okay, I think you just eat that money. Like, you just would, because there's no point if Penix is any good to go back to Kirk. Like, there's just not, unfortunately. But yeah, he's owed $12 million in signing bonus and $10 million roster bonuses. So he's going to be cut after 2025, basically, for sure. Okay. It's just whether or not he starts next season and the end of this year. But he's not going to be on the team after that.
2 more narratives, games, teams, players that I want to discuss and talk about. There's a situation brewing. Jay, there's a situation brewing for a team that is currently, I believe, 11-3. Let me check. 11-2. Excuse me. There's a situation brewing out in Philadelphia. Did you happen to catch the looks, the conversation that old Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown had following the Philadelphia Eagles win against the Carolina Panthers? Bryce Young, once again, I'll just say this. I was very close to tweeting it out. In a 2-minute drive, there's only one player that I got more confidence in than Bryce Young. That's Tom Brady. Bryce Young has got ice water in his... Here's the craziest part. You know he's led 4 fourth-quarter comeback drives in his NFL career? 4.
Jesus, that's crazy.
It was on the broad. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this got to be like college. Or this can't be Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young drove him down the field. They should have won the game.
Bryce Young won the game. Just Carolina lost it.
They won the game.
Yeah, they won the game. Carolina lost it.
Your boy, Xavier Legette, decided to have a case of the dropsies. Dropping shit all game long. Bryce Young steps up in the pocket, delivers a beautiful strike, to your boy Xavier Leggett, who looks like he catches it, but it just falls through his hands, hits the ground, rolls over, and then the rest is history. Philadelphia gets it done. Bryce Young, another, and you look at the final box score numbers for the game, they're not going to wow you, the numbers. 19 for 34, 191, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But if you watch the game, he played very well. He played well enough to win this game. Multiple yards left on the field, drops. Adam Thielen is their best receiver, and it's not even close. The fact that 39-year-old Adam Thielen is the best that you have lets you know just how devoid of talent they are on the outside. On the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts, 108, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 4 times. Saquon, 20 carries, 124. All he's got to do is average $120 for the rest of the season, and he breaks Eric Dickerson's record. But Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Smitty scored a touchdown, but he was still bitching and complaining. A.J. Brown, 4 for 40, was not happy. I mean, this is how A.J. Brown looked during the game. He was not happy.
Damn.
JRich. That is how he was looking at Jalen Hurts. He and Devontae Smith were talking about it, both very animated, both very frustrated with the passing of Jalen Hurts. So talk about it. JRich, Philly, they're 11-2, one of the best teams in the NFL, but do you think this is a problem? Is this a problem that Jalen Hurts is not feeding his pass catchers? Is it a problem that they want to run the ball 1,000,000 times a game and not throwing to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith multiple times? Is this a problem?
I wouldn't say it's a problem yet, but I think the problem is, Ray, and you know this more than anybody, we've kind of seen this happen with Kellen Moore before. Like, he has great playmakers, and he, for whatever reason, has game plans that just don't make any sense. Like, you're facing off against the Carolina Panthers. They have an awful defense. They are improving week after week and getting better.
Improving, but it's still not good.
But when you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, you should go crazy because you still got Saquon Barkley to run the ball. But maybe, just maybe, you should target your number 1 wide receiver in the first half. Just maybe that'd be a good idea. And again, we don't know all the play calls. We don't know if he's checking to runs consistently throughout the game. But at some point, Kellen Moore needs to just understand that he has 2 very talented playmakers outside, trust his quarterback, and go out and win the game instead of just surviving through a game. And the Eagles have done this a lot over the past few years, but more so I'm very reminiscent of the days in Dallas when Dallas would be very close to losing games because Kellen Moore wouldn't get the ball in his playmaker's hands, and he wants to dick around with Grant Calcaterra and Jahan Dotson and Kenneth Gainwell, and it's like, why don't you just get the ball to your best players and win the game? It's not that difficult when you're playing a team of this caliber. And Jalen Hurts was okay. He took some bad sacks, but I felt like they just called a very bad game. Very bad game.
I think both of these comments can be very true. Anahola says, Saquon has carried this team, and now it's a problem when you almost lose to the Panthers. And then the very next comment from Steve Gambino says, as an Eagles fan, I agree. They do need to get ahead of this. And that's all I'm saying. Just, you don't want it to fester and to permeate with a good team that is playing Super Bowl caliber ball. You don't need your 2 playmakers on the outside, your 2 best players on your team, 2 captains. Jay, if you didn't see the interaction, they are on the sideline. Them 2, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and you could, they're just like, we're not even throwing the ball. The reporter after the game, A.J. Brown, how do you, these reporters are so good that they bait and gaslight you to give the answer that they want. That, AJ,
and
man,
the players don't care, man.
Here it is. AJ, you're such a great receiver. Just how difficult is it for you and Devontae to get in rhythm when you only throw the ball 18 times? And AJ Brown's just like, I don't call the plays. I think they need to get ahead of this.
You know who they play this week, Ray?
Who they play? Tampa, right?
AFC North leaders.
They play the Steelers?
Pittsburgh Steelers. Big
Philly
game
Pitt?
in Philly.
That's this week?
In Philly. Thank God for them. But yeah,
what's
the
opening
Steelers.
line? Are there is there a spread on that already?
5. Opened at 4.5. Now it's at 5.
Philly favored by 5?
Yeah.
What's the total?
Probably the right number.
47.5?
43.
43.
It's actually going down. Surprise, surprise. I mean, the Steelers, they don't score any points, so.
They put up points.
And
They
Philly's
put up points
nuts.
yesterday. They put up points. They put up points
They
yesterday.
played Cleveland.
They put up points. Carolina, do you feel better about Bryce Young? Let me just ask. You know we got to go Bryce heat check. Bryce heat check every week.
I feel good about Bryce. I still
think
feel
we
like
do.
we're kind of moving the goalposts on Bryce. Like, he was the
I don't
first
think so.
fucking overall pick, and he's been awful. He's just not awful anymore. He's good. He's a competent starting
Who do
quarterback.
they need a receiver, man. Is it T.
Yes, they
Higgins? Is it T. Higgins? And
See, Ray, this makes me upset, man. We need T. Higgins, and now all the talk is, well, T. Higgins can go to Carolina. He can be Mike Evans. No, man. Like, just leave us alone. Let the Pats get
Who's
T.
us?
Higgins.
The
so
Pats?
He's got number one. Well, no. The Patriots need
Patriots,
T. Higgins
right?
very badly. But now there's talk of T. Higgins going to Carolina because, well, Dave Canales is calling some really good games, and his team
He is
just doesn't have
calling
the
good games.
weapons. And it's like, well,
it's called great games.
fuck off, man.
And
Like,
Bryce Young,
we already
here's
knew
what-
this.
Here's what I like about
It's very
Bryce.
frustrating.
He is hyper targeted in the one. 11 targets. He is going to hyper target the primary. So, yeah, bring T. Higgins.
Adam Thielen is good, right?
Adam Thielen is good. Adam Thielen is
Yeah.
good.
And
Let's wrap it
Canales
up
can
talking
scheme open
about.
receivers.
Let's wrap it up talking about your favorite player, Maserati Marv. Maserati
Oh,
Marv.
yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. The Arizona Cardinals
Stinking
lost.
it up.
They lost. They lost again. They lost again. This game was a Zach Charbonnet game. This was a big fan of. We were big Charbonnet guys in 2022. That draft class. Charbonnet playing instead of Kenneth Walker, who was dealing with injury, was just a battering ram out there. That's all he
No
did
doubt.
was run through the face of everybody that came up to tackle him. He had a monster game, 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he didn't stop there. 7 carries, 59 yards for Zach Charbonnet. Geno Smith threw for 233. And again, Jay, I continue to kind of just mention this and bring it up. Jackson Smith and Jigba with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the field was once again very good. 5 for 82, 1 touchdown, only 5 targets. DK Metcalf had 6. But JSN really starting to heat up as a primary option. And JRich, would
Okay.
you want to guess this? This is something that you probably didn't know.
Okay.
On the last Trinity video, I talked about Addison. I talked about Tank Dell, those second-year
Yeah, year
receivers.
2
Zay
receiver. We
Flowers,
talked about it on the
Jaden
show, yeah.
Reed. I put Addison in that group, and I said that of all of these players, if you were asking me which one I would want to buy into for Dynasty moving forward, JSN would be the guy for me. I was like looking at the Trinity, JSN. Now, Addison went out there and had a crazy
3
game.
tutties.
So he was awesome. He definitely overshadowed JSN on the week. You know he's a top 5 receiver, top 5 in the league in receiving yards, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
You know he's
Well,
top 10
he's
in the
fifth
NFL.
in fantasy points, right? Isn't he
He's
fifth in
top
receiver
10 in the
fantasy points?
NFL in receptions, Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's happening right before. It is happening right before our eyes, and I know a lot of
Yeah.
people still haven't fully pushed the chips in. It's time. Trust the dots. Follow the Trinity. JSN. He's better than DK Metcalf. I think he's a
That's
more
so rude.
complete. He
He
is.
is a more complete
I'm
receiver, yeah.
watching him, and he reminds me of a mix between Keenan Allen and Cooper Kupp. Like he's a zone merchant. He's not the
Yeah.
fastest. He's not the biggest. He knows how to get open. He catches everything. He's a blend of those two. It's happening right before our eyes in a high volume passing offense. Go get him. Go get him. It's happening right now. JSN is
This
legit.
is Rose Bowl JSN.
This
he
is
very good,
yes.
right?
But-
Like he is very, very good.
Other side, Marv, 8
Still
targets. So
wide receiver 8, Ray. Marv. How the hell is Marv wide receiver 8? This guy does nothing every week, and he's
Touchdowns,
still
baby.
wide receiver 8.
6 touchdowns on the season. He is 38th in yards, 58th in receptions, 6th in touchdowns. He had 4 for 49. What kind of car is he this week? He is not a Maserati.
He's a Mercedes.
He's a
He's
Mercedes.
this week. Yeah. He's
4
he's
for
not
49
great.
get you in a Mercedes, get you in a Benz. He's in a
It's-
2-door. He's in a 2-door,
know,
not a 4-door. He's
He's
in a
It's
coupe.
a lease. It's a lease. Right?
Ain't nothing wrong
It's-
with a
he didn't-
lease, but it's a 2-door.
Yeah, it's a lease. You know, he
It's
didn't
a two-door.
didn't splurge, didn't go too crazy.
No.
But yeah, he did fine. For fantasy points, it's like 10 points. We'll take it. We don't want it, but we'll take it. He didn't absolutely just, it's just, I don't know what it is, man. And I hope we find out one day what the issue is.
People are,
it makes no sense.
Jimbo's like better than DK.
Miyaba.
I think he's better. I think he's better than DK Metcalf. And that's not discrediting what DK has done up to this point. DK's been awesome up to this point. If you ask me, would I rather have DK Metcalf or Jackson Smith and Jigba moving forward? My answer, 10 out of 10,000 fucking times, is going to be JSN. I'd rather have JSN over DK Metcalf moving forward.
And that is consensus.
If I could take my Marv and push that into JSN, I would do that. I would turn.
The problem is, Ray, good luck, because if you are a JSN owner, you've been waiting for this for like 2 seasons. And I think to your point, you go to the volume aspect with JSN as well, right? He's always going to have more volume, more likely than not, than DK Metcalf. And Metcalf has dealt with a smattering of injuries. And, I think even this week he was a little bit banged up. He did obviously play in this matchup. But JSN has supplanted Lockett. Lockett's probably not going to be on the team next year. And the way they throw the football, you definitely want both those players in this offense. You really, really do. Both were great.
Greg hit the nail on the head. Greg said, I wish my wife loved me as much as JRich loves Dave Canales. Man, you love
Ray.
You love Dave Canales.
Please tell me the last time Dave Canales failed. He turned around Geno Smith. He turned around Baker Mayfield. And by golly, he's turned around Bryce Young. Find me a better coordinator in the NFL right now than maybe Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur.
Kevin O'Connell, Mike Tomlin.
Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur are my man. Like, those are.
And Mike, you got to give Mike T. Mike Tomlin. Come on, man. Come on.
I love Mike Tomlin. Yeah. I don't know what his involvement is in the offense, because I don't know if he's an offensive guy, defensive guy. He's just a sick coach. Like, he's just a great coach.
Man, Tomlin, every move he's made, people have questioned. Bringing in Arthur Smith, that's a bad move. Bringing in Justin Fields, that's a bad move. And Russell Wilson, that's a bad move. And Pittsburgh, what are they, 10-3? Pittsburgh 10-3?
I think they're 11-3.
No, they don't have 11 wins, do they?
Well, I'm trying to find it one second.
I know where the hell they're at. They are 10-3.
10-3. Yeah.
10-3.
Got to play the Eagles though. I'm starting to waver a bit on my Eagles take. They're good. I don't know if they're that good though. I feel like they're headed for Buffalo land and gonna lose one that they probably should win. But they got
Kadarius Toney dropped the punt too. Kadarius Toney, just for anybody that didn't see it, just letting you know. Just if you missed it, letting you know, Kadarius Toney, he dropped the punt. All right, quick hitters, Jay. Jags beat the Titans, messing up their draft slot. That's a win that no Jags fan wanted to see. Steelers split with the Browns. Jerry Jeudy scored again. Elijah Moore cooled off. The Saints beat. Who'd the Saints beat? Saints beat the Giants.
14-11.
Jay, before I saw the ball got tipped, I said the Giants, they told the kicker to shank it. There's no way you missed. And then I saw it was blocked, but I was like, ain't no way. And at the 2-yard line, he missed that bitch. They told him, we need the number 2 pick, do not win this game. But the Saints got it done. What are the quick-hitting teams? The Dolphins, they get past the Jets, which was a very entertaining game.
Surprisingly good game, yeah.
Listen, man. He hadn't got his head bashed in, and Tua Tagovailoa is about to set the NFL record for, I think, efficiency, completion percentage.
Oh, really?
Yep, he is on pace to break the record. The all-time, I think, efficiency record for quarterbacks. He is a surgeon when he's on the field. So surgeon when he's on the field.
He's only 70%. He's only 70%. Because I think doesn't Bradford have the record for percentage? 70%.
70%.
Or maybe it's just wait.
Yeah, you're confusing the whole chat right now on Tua's completion
73.8% on the season.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That would break the record, yeah.
Yeah, he's been very good.
Whoever's record is. It's Bradford's record, I think.
Man, I've got some Sam Bradford Philadelphia Eagles talk. I'll be doing it. You'll see later this week with the content. Saquon Barkley also set the record for Philadelphia Eagles rushing. He beat Shady McCoy's record. So shout out to Saquon, who still has multiple games left to go chase Eric Dickerson's record. Jay, hit the music, man. Hit the music.
Great day.
Great
football
man.
This week.
College, Heisman, Marv, JSN. I mean,
what a drop off from Heisman to Marv. Jesus Christ.
So much college football talk, so much NFL talk, and the family has been in the building. Jonnu Smith, three in overtime for Jonnu Smith, man. Jonnu Smith getting it done. He should be a top tight end on the season. I see Canales. Colin, yes, Canales is a great coach. All right, we got Monday Night Football. Cowboys, Bengals. Who you think wins, Jay?
I want to say the Cowboys.
I want to say Dallas too, and I don't want them to. I don't want them to.
I think isn't the line's been heading their way all week, hasn't it?
I think so. I think Cincinnati, Orlando Brown is out. They got some injuries up front. Offensive line is going to be a problem.
5.5.
Hey, did your bet pay off? I saw some people in the comments a couple of days ago talking about your Cole Palmer. Did that bet pay off? Cole Palmer?
Ray, I'm gonna send you the highlights. Cole Palmer went insane yesterday.
Let's go.
No one watched the game. No one watched it.
Cole
because
Palmer?
These people don't watch real football. No, I'm just joking. But it was a sick game. Tottenham-Chelsea was an awesome game. Just go look up Cole Palmer's pens, bro. This guy, he broke the Premier League record for consecutive pens without missing. 12 for 12. Cole Palmer. And Ray, what's crazier? The announcers, after he scored his first goal, they're like, in December, it gets cold. And that's when Cole Palmer comes to play. And I'm like, holy hell, these guys.
Oh, you were all into it. You were all into it.
I loved Cole Palmer. Came back from down
2-0.
Cole Palmer went crazy.
Hey, we saw Gladiator 2 this weekend. Did you ever watch Gladiator?
How was it?
I thought it was good.
So.
You never saw Gladiator?
I don't think so, no. Dude. But yeah, my bet was against Southampton on Wednesday.
Yeah, you gotta watch Gladiator, man. You haven't seen Gladiator?
I don't think so, no. I don't think so.
I thought it was good. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. Man. I thought it was a good sequel to the first one that came out 20 years ago.
Was it from in the 80s? Was it 80s or 90s? I honestly have no idea.
Fucking 80s, man. It was 2000. Russell Crowe. Gladiator.
2000? What, I was 7 years old?
The 80s. My God. All right,
I don't know how old Gladiator is.
Make sure y'all wake up on Wednesday. Make sure you pull up to the channel later this afternoon. Mock Monday. Draft should be up right around lunchtime, 1 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you pull into that. Did Destination Dynasty go up this morning, Jay?
RB, Roster Construction Series. Scott really threw me for the loop. I was looking for those ads, and he was talking wide receivers. But it's about the RBs this week, so we're good. It was a really interesting show because with the RBs, how they've scored this season, Scott really breaks down how much better they've been versus what they were and how the values have maybe shifted or not shifted. It's up to you to listen and find out. But Scott did a great job with this pod.
Y'all are wild. I'm talking about Gladiator 2. Good stuff, man. Good. Somebody says Stanley said he's from Canada and he's young. Canada doesn't claim JRich.
That's fine.
It's all right, baby.
Wednesday. Watch hockey, so we're good.
Oh, okay. Get us out of here, Jay. Tell the people we'll see them on Wednesday.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe to the content. Check out Ray's mock draft, which will drop later today, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday. We're out. Peace.
Peace.